So what do you do for work? Oh, I'm an artist. Cool, what kind of art do you make? I do oil paintings. Are you doing it full time? I'm not sure exactly how many hours a week I paint. No, I mean money. Where do you get your money? How do you buy shampoo? Oh, I'm not even gonna pretend I'm not wearing my pajam jam pants.
Do people ask you this question? I get asked this all the time, and at first it was really confusing because I wasn't sure what they were asking. At my previous job, working 32 hours was considered full-time, but I definitely don't paint for 32 hours straight every week. That would be really cool if I did, but my brain doesn't work that way. So if people are just asking you where your money comes from, why is this such a common question? I've never heard someone was a plumber and followed that up with, but do you do it full-time? But we are told constantly that you cannot make a living as an artist, so when we meet one, it's a big mystery. How does that work? How are you paying bills? I thought art was just something people made up as an excuse for bad taste. You can make money from art and you can enjoy your life as an artist. That's what I'm doing right now. And you don't even have to ask me where my money comes from because I'll just tell you. I'm guessing that some of you watching this are wanting to pursue a career in art, so I want to start off by pointing out that I am fortunate to have what I consider to be very low expenses. I'm not legally responsible for anyone besides myself. I do have a dog, but she's really healthy. I'm really healthy. The things that I love to do are free. I grew up with that extra money, so I'm really used to budgeting and cooking meals super cheap and stuff like that.
If you can believe it, I actually do my own nails. And I cut my own hair.
I've had relatively small hurdles to face compared to a lot of people. So if you hear my story and you think it's just not that easy for everyone, I hear you, and I'm really grateful that I don't have high expenses right now. I'm just gonna share my story, and I want to encourage you that artists exist, they're real, and a lot of us are happy and have a great life. So let's get to the good stuff. Where do I get money to buy shampoo and pay my bills? I make money from selling original paintings, prints, and stickers, but it isn't a steady income for me at the time of this recording. There's definitely a busy season and a slow season. So I have to be careful to budget, so I'm saving when I have a good show and I can make it last through the off season. I have artwork in physical locations as well as online, and it's nice to have those options because if it's a holiday and the shop is closed, I can still have people shopping online. But there are always gaps. I don't get paid every time a painting sells. Sometimes it's once a month, or if an online account reaches a certain threshold, then it will pay out. But if I need more money, maybe I have a car payment coming up or I want to buy something big like a ski ticket, I do gig work. I've used temp agencies in the past, but I sometimes do odd jobs. I'm a huge fan of having multiple income streams because then even if one is slow, you have the other ones to lean on. And they may not make a lot by themselves, but when you add it all up, it creates a huge difference. And that's another thing I want to point out. I live with my partner, and we each pay our own bills, but that is still a huge safety net for me. Because when I was single, if I could see I'm not going to make rent on time, I'd have to get some work about a month in advance. Whereas with my partner, I can be on the razor's edge of that. It could be the day before rent is due and I'm still waiting for a payout from an event and it's fine. So far, I haven't been unable to pay for something, but I have been playing it really close. Way closer than I did when I was living alone. Because if I really needed it, my partner could spot me my half of the rent until the money came in. Whereas with a roommate, that was never an option. Which actually brings me to an interesting story. When I was starting out painting, there were 4 very financially successful women artists I was following on Instagram, and I looked up to them a lot. They all have some years on me, so I thought I would ask them for advice. I wanted to know, how did they start art full time? And by that I mean, where did their money come from? How do you go from selling nothing to building your dream art studio like that one woman did? Because I kept seeing these posts of, I started with nothing and now I make more than your grandpa. Of course they were more tactful than that, but it's such a simplified story. What about all that in between stuff? I messaged all 4 of these women I had been following, and they all messaged me back. And this was early on Instagram, the audiences were smaller, but I was still really grateful for them taking that time to get back to me. But they all told me the exact same thing, and it left me really discouraged. And I appreciated their honesty so much. But they all said something along the lines of this. They all worked hard, and that was obvious. They definitely earned their audience. But they all, 4 of them, mentioned that their husband was a huge safety net while they were starting out. If they had a bad show or a bad year, it was okay. They still got a second chance, or a third, or a fourth. And I had asked them what the biggest factor of starting out on their own as an artist was, and they all said a husband, which is really cool to hear their partners were supportive, but I didn't have a husband or any partner. In fact, when I messaged them, I was just fresh out of a divorce. But I knew there were lots of successful artists without husbands, so I knew this wasn't the only way forward. But it really bummed me out. It was funny at first when they all independently responded to me and mentioned this. But then after they all said the same thing, I thought, can I do this alone? Do I need an investor to live my dream of being an artist? And the answer was yes. I can do this alone. No, you don't need an investor. It's a longer path, but it's totally possible. The times I've had people help me, like when my parents generously gifted me a printer, it has sped up my career by multiple years overnight. It makes a huge difference in progress, but you can still get there by yourself with time. And not everyone's dreams are the same. If you want to pursue a career in art, you have to figure out, what does that mean to you? What is success? For some people, it's just their art being seen. For some people, it's making money, or maybe both, or neither. It's a really personal thing. For me, I just want to paint, and I don't want anything to get in the way of that. I don't care if I have other jobs or make money other ways. I just don't want other jobs to interfere with painting. So when I embarked on this journey to be a painter, I just wanted it to be my priority. And then when I was done painting for the day, maybe I could go work at an auction and make some extra cash, which was actually a super fun day. Auctions are wild. I knew I didn't want to get home from an exhausting day of manual labor and have to choose between sleep or paint, which was my life for about 7 years. If I spent all day landscaping and pulling up weeds and fixing fences and stuff, my hands hurt way too much to paint. And I recorded a lot of footage of me crying about it because I thought someday I'd be editing an inspirational video of me making it as an artist, but it didn't work like that. I wasn't an overnight success the way a lot of people were talking about their careers. So instead, I just have 7 years of video of me crying in various locations around my apartments.
I did this for you.
But I was trying to model my path after stories I heard and not after what was important to me. So what was important to me? What is important to me? I just want to paint what I want. I don't want to do commissions. I don't want to do client work. Commissions are an amazing way to make money, and I did that for a lot of years. And they were so much fun in a super stressful way. And I just didn't want to be stressed out like that anymore. I was the one making it stressful, and it wasn't for me. But I knew as long as I could paint without other things getting in the way of that, like other jobs, that would make me so happy. And I've never had a monetary goal or an award I wanted to earn. I just want to paint, and that is very doable. Although I do make money from paintings and prints and stickers, it's not a steady income. It's not always enough to pay rent and a car payment and vet bills. When things ebb and flow, I just fill in the gaps with gig work. And for me, this is really fun and I love it. It's honestly really exciting and it keeps me driven because I know if I don't meet an art deadline or I don't make it into an event, I'll have to go dig up thistles. And even though some of the work is kind of fun, nothing is as fun as painting, so it's great motivation for me. If you want to leave a traditional job to pursue a creative career, you can absolutely do that. There are lots of ways to make money, and something that works for everyone else may not work for you, and that's very true for me. Having a traditional job really interfered with my art, and it was kind of overkill. Doing smaller jobs to fill in the gaps is just a better balance for me. Painting is my full-time work, and then other jobs kind of fill in the space where hobbies would be. I guess if painting's my work, is temp work my hobby? I do it for fun. The advice I got for jumpstarting my career when I was first starting out was have someone who can support you while you're doing that. But I didn't have that. A lot of people don't have that, but that's not necessary. So the best advice that I can give you, whether you have someone who can financially support you or not, is figure out what an art career actually means to you. What is important to you and your quality of life? Pursue that. It took me a long time to tip the scale from doing mostly non-creative work all the way over to doing mostly creative work. But it happened eventually. If you want to make a ton of money or you only want to pursue art, do nothing else, go find people that are doing that. Ask them. They'll tell you how they did it. It'll be awesome. If you're like me and you just need to create first and foremost, and after that it's not really a big deal to you how you get money, try temp work. At first when I started, the idea made me so anxious. I'm a planner. I like everything laid out. I don't like taking risks or the unknown. But once I started it, it's actually so much fun and it ended up being a way better fit for me. And sometimes during busy season, I'll have a great show or I'll, have a wholesale order or something. And then I don't have to do as much temp work, which is exciting too. And it's not all glamorous. Like I've cleaned a ton of toilets and shoveled horse poop and stuff like that, but that doesn't really bother me as long as I'm working towards my dream instead of someone else's. It's all worth it to me. You don't have to be all or nothing with your art career, and there are lots of ways to create art and support yourself without having an investor. I was painting just as much when I was single and didn't split rent with my partner. It was more exhausting. I didn't have as much free time and it was tough, but it wasn't impossible. No one could stop me from painting. No one can stop you. If you want to seriously pursue art, I hope you do. And I hope it all goes right for you. It took me about 7 non-consecutive years for me to get to a point where I was happy with my work situation. There were a few moments of hope in there where things started to line up and then they were dashed and I had to start over, but I found a balance that works really well for me now. Figure out what setup works for you. Pursue that and don't feel like you're not allowed to make money other ways besides art. It truly just comes down to what you want.